I've said for a long time, and I still more or less stand behind this prediction that there is going to be a showdown as the major fiat currencies of the world start to collapse, as the governments and central bankers just are printing money out of desperation to maintain their control over the economy. And what you're going to see is a showdown between those who want to go to a global fiat currency and those who want free market money. And I think there's another player in the game here, and that is people like Joby Weeks and Wayne Walton, Mountain Hours, Ithaca Hours, Dime Cards, Bitcoin. There are going to be all of these competing currencies already in the market, and the government can only do so much to make them illegal. This is what makes it such an exciting time to be alive, because this really is the big showdown of our time. This is what this central banking, if you understand it as the underpinning of modern government, is the mechanism of stealing beyond taxation in absurd amounts. That and borrowing, of course, but borrowing is all part of the scam of fiat currency, that central banks loan money to governments as if they couldn't just print it themselves. But it's because central banks are leeches on the people empowered by government, and they're not set up to serve anybody but themselves. So you're going to see people who want to go to a global fiat currency, who want to keep the scam going, but at the same time, you're going to have this competition, and the competition is limited because, in the United States at least, because of legal tender laws. And that's why people who start alternative currencies, if they call them the dollar, they can get arrested. This is what happened to Von Nothaus with the Liberty Dollar. He ended up going to jail. And you are limited in what you can do in terms of producing alternative currencies. But that's what makes the hour system so exciting. Obviously, Bitcoin, oh my God. Now, the thing about Bitcoin is it really is backed by nothing. Whereas Mountain Hours are basically a community barter coupon system where businesses issue common coupons that they will redeem that become effectively like cash. So what are you up against in doing that? Well, the IRS, and by the way, we have an email about this. We're going to get into this in just a few minutes about the IRS, all the regulations they have on barter and barter currency and things like this, where they want to make it, where you have to report it as if it's dollars and they get to tax it on some parity basis. But they, in this day and age, they can only go so far. And the internet provides an incredible check on their power because people are able to see past the bullshit propaganda. People are able to study monetary policy. They're able to look at stories like this and go, holy fucking shit, I get it now. And when you see what's going to happen, when you see that showdown, when the dollar and the euro really start to collapse, and they're already on, a declining curve, but it's accelerating and it's going to get worse, and the decline in value of those currencies is going to accelerate. So you could get away with 100 years ago imposing these currencies, and in the United States they did it by actually making it illegal to own gold. That's right, they had to make it illegal to own gold in the United States to keep people from creating alternative currencies. But now with the technology available to us, we have so many peaceful ways of exchanging value without government. I mean, imagine that. That's basically what the Mountain Hours program is, and I encourage people who want to get into this to do it locally and start their own system. And if you go to community-hours.com, you can get information on how to start your own local currency. I mean, holy fucking shit, yeah, you can do that. And it's really fucking easy. You can start your own community currency, and they show you how to do this. So when that showdown comes, there will be competitors, and they won't be able to squash them the way they were able to do with the dollar. Because what people around the world are going to be able to see this. People around the world are going to be part of this conversation. They're going to be looking at, how do we decide what is our medium of exchange going to be? What are we going to use for money? And the internet provides the counter narrative to the government propaganda that made it possible in the age before the internet for them to impose these fiat currencies on us in the first place. And I really have a lot of faith in technology in this sense, in the information sharing power of the internet being able to get us past that bullshit propaganda, but also at the same time to create these alternatives. And my point is that when it comes down to this, like what happened to Nothaus and the Liberty Dollar, they put him in jail for putting dollar on a coin. Yeah, a silver round. They put him in jail for that. Holy fucking shit. You think they're going to get away with that for people who are issuing coupons. It's just, Bitcoin, they can't arrest people for Bitcoin, first of all, because it's anonymous. And the thing is, that's backed by nothing. And it may prove to be who knows, in the future, maybe all we'll use is Bitcoin. Maybe that'll be the magic solution, and every other currency will go away, and all we'll ever use is Bitcoin. And it'll be, where did it come from? Well, it came out of the ether. It sprang forth from Bitcoin miners, mining coins by going through algorithms and creating Bitcoin. And now we can't create them anymore, but we have this currency by which we transmit value at infinite efficiency on the internet. Who knows? The local currencies are made, all of these may be, to a certain extent, all of the various currencies that we see competing with the global fiat currencies now are transition currencies. Bitcoin is only as successful as it is because the government's around to make a bunch of shit illegal that you have to purchase anonymously in the first place, right? So obviously, it has other advantages. But with mountain hours or community currency, they're actually backed by the commitment of the issuers to redeem them. So as a retailer, well, if you want the full explanation, check out the hour-long podcast I did on this yesterday with the creators of Mountain Hours, Joby Weeks and Wayne Walton. But really, this is an exciting time to be alive because, like we're seeing here in France with what they're going through, selling bonds at a negative interest rate, we are getting close to this. It is going to be within our lifetimes. And it's one of those things, it really is impossible to predict. And a lot of people are in the business of trying to predict when these various economic events are going to occur. But it is to a certain extent impossible because it's based on the decisions of a very few number of people that they could crash the dollar deliberately tomorrow. If they thought, if the people behind all of these schemes decided, holy shit, people are waking up to the reality of fiat currency more and more every day. If we don't get this global fiat currency installed sooner rather than later, it's going to be a lot harder. And you know what? Maybe that's what they're doing right now. Maybe that's why Bernanke is looking at QE3. Maybe that's why we're seeing so much money being created in Europe, devaluing the euro and all of the problems that are happening there. It could be that they are deliberately crashing these currencies. It doesn't look like they're doing it as fast as they can, but as fast as they practically can or believably, convincibly can, in order to get us to a global fiat currency sooner rather than later, so that they can get us entrenched and dependent on that system before we have time as a species to wake up to the criminal fraud that is central banking. Okay, this is from Mike G. Dear Adam and Beard, could you slowly and in small words explain the mountain hours and other alternate currency to some of the naysayers, I just used that expression, on the last vid you posted on the subject? I got fucking pissed and couldn't generate a sound argument without outrageous use of profanity because of the idiocy of their sheep mentality and fear in the way the idea was renounced by said douchebags. Anyhow, keep up the good work. See you in Tampa, Mike G. And you know what? I really appreciate this. And I mentioned it earlier that the response from some of the viewers of the Adam versus the Man YouTube channel has been just disgusting. Like, oh my God, you have a currency that's not backed by gold and silver. It must be a scam. You know what? Here's my simple, eloquent explanation. Go fuck yourselves and your narrow-mindedness. And I'm not afraid to tell my own audience to fuck off. It might get lonely around here, but the audience of Adam versus the Man that we have are people that are willing to hear when they need to hear it. Fuck off, or at least get a fucking clue. And I really appreciate that about my audience. And for those of you that aren't in this category of needing to hear it today, let me explain. The monetary system of mountain hours is really, really simple. A business issues hours like coupons, and there is a universal system that is created so that there is a standardized system of creating these coupons so that they are based on the value of basically the business's ability to redeem them. And yes, in the current small system that is the mountain hours local currency, there are very crude approximations in place that approximate what that value would be in the market, and it's done by the central currency committee. And so in that sense, yeah, it's not perfect, but if people are getting disadvantaged because, hey, one business gets to create more coupons than they do because of whatever reason, or they get some advantage, guess what? Compared to the disadvantage they get from using the US dollar as an alternative, it's still a great fucking deal. And the people who have created Mountain Hours are creating an incredible service to their community. Wayne Walton and Joby Weeks in Breckenridge, Colorado are creating a service for local businesses there, for people who want to opt out of the US dollar, who don't want to pay the inflation tax, who don't want to fund wars in the police state. And so for that, they're willing to accept an imperfect monetary system as a competitor to the Federal Reserve. I mean, no fucking shit. So I'd like to just say that this is an incredible new innovation. And it's really not that new. I mean, Mountain Hours or Ithaca Hours, the basis for this has been around for a long time. Although I think what they're doing with Mountain Hours now and creating community-hours.com as a place where anybody can go to learn the basics of how to create your own currency based on this model. I mean, do it. Look into this. And until you can come up with something better, quit talking shit. I know gold and silver is this ideal, like, yes, it's superior because of this. It's the traditional currency. But even Ron Paul has never said we need to go to just gold and silver as money. He says, yes, gold and silver are our money, and yes, the Fed is a scam, but what we need to do is open the Federal Reserve up to competition. Guess what? Then fucking compete. You know, shit or get off the pot, for fuck's sake. Don't sit back home and talk shit about gold and silver. Anything else is a scam. No, this is a system where they're creating from coupons. It's glorified couponing, and what they're able to do is create a barter system that allows people to opt out of the US dollar. I mean, what an incredible service for people to be providing in their community. And of course, as I've said before, this is limited by what is possible under the distortion of the market created by the Federal Reserve and all of the violence that is threatened in the coercion that backs up the US dollar system. But you can do something about this right now. You can, in your community, you can start a local currency based on these concepts. You can even do it as a franchise. You can do it independently. This is totally open source. This very concept. You don't need a commodity to back a currency. Although, you know what? I look forward to seeing that competition happen in the free market for currency when we truly have it. And we will see, is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be some sort of digitized accounting for gold and silver in a vault somewhere? Or is it going to be based on these coupons, these promissory notes of hours? And hours are just a benchmark. You could call it whatever you want. You could call it, you could call it a dollar if you want to do civil disobedience in and of itself. You could call it anything. You could call it the fuck bill. I'll give you 5 fuck bills and they'll be worth $1 because that's the conversion rate that we've created for our local system of currency. I mean, you can literally do whatever you want with this. It's totally open source. But if you want to go and learn how they're doing it in Summit County in Colorado, check it out. Community-hours.com is the website. Mountain Hours, mtnhours.com is their website. And it's really simple. It's deceptively simple. And you might think, well, counterfeiting, how do I... Well, you know what? At the beginning levels, there's not a whole lot of incentive for counterfeiting. And as the currency grows, there will be incentives and you can trade it out and you can have stuff that's more counterfeit proof. You can do all that. This is really amazing. So please, tell them I sent you. Maybe I'll get a referral out of this. But if you want to start your own community currency, this is the way to do it. And you can opt out of the Federal Reserve System entirely if you want by using barter coupons. I mean, holy fucking shit. This could be the future of money in America. This could be the future of money for humanity. This, one way or another, in the current system in the Federal Reserve, where we use Federal Reserve notes backed by nothing except the full faith and credit of the United States government, which is the trust and that the government is going to do the one thing that it does well, which is steal from future generations, promise other countries. I mean, when they borrow money, when the United States government borrows money from China, what's their collateral? You are their fucking collateral. The promise is, okay, China, give us $1 billion and we promise in the next couple of years, we'll steal $1 billion from the American people to pay you back. That's it. That's what it's backed by. Wouldn't you rather have something backed by something real, even if it doesn't exist yet, if it's the promise of fulfillment of goods and services by a reliable business in your community? Do you not see the advantage there? This is the future of money. It might be an evolutionary side branch. It might be a failed experiment. Only time will tell, but it'll only work if we decide collectively to pool our resources, even if it's just at the local level or, you know what, at the individual level. We don't have to pool shit. Do what you can as an individual to barter, to opt out of the Federal Reserve System, to stop using dollars, to not hold dollars any more than you absolutely have to. This is how we starve the beast. This is how we kill the Federal Reserve System. And I believe that at least some version of this is the future of money itself.